start off with my channel. I am DJ Aka Token Black. Got here for the first time. Hit that like button, subscribe button. So I know I'm a little late on this one, but we're doing the breakdown, episode 6 of Andor. Like I said, our last episode popped off. A lot of the plan they were hatching finally went in effect. So let's figure out what we missed and didn't catch because, you know, as I said before, I am new to the Star Wars fandom and learning as I go. So let's find out from Mr. Eric Voss and New Rockstars, what did I miss and what did we all miss in the breakdowns of Easter eggs. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Star Wars Andor, Episode 6, The Eye. Seriously, one of my favorite Star Wars anythings. And there's so many subtle details that went into making it so great. I'm gonna break it all down for you. The episode opens with Nemik pouring Cassian some calf. Cassian has to hug his Aldani coat tight around him because, as we see later, it doesn't really fit him properly. Since he was a late addition, they had to work with what they had. Nemik worries that he couldn't sleep the night before the mission because his galaxy brain was too preoccupied.
Struggling to understand why my faith doesn't calm me. I believe in something. Why am I so unsettled? I mean, you have nothing.
Anxiety.
You sleep like a stone.
As a story of war from the point of view of those on the front lines, this echoes the quiet rest period in Saving Private Ryan when the soldiers discussed how to fall asleep.
No, he doesn't.
What's that?
Falls asleep like that. I mean, look at him. The guy's lights out, the minute his head hits the back.
Clear conscience.
Yeah, what's it saying? If God's on our side, who the hell could be on theirs?
If God be for us.
That's been one of the best movies.
That scene continues
war
with a
movies ever made.
Monologue from the medic, Wade, who says that his trick to falling asleep was trying to stay awake, like he as a kid would do, trying to wait for his mother to come home. Wade and Nemik are parallel figures when you think about it. Young, morally pure.
Oh, when he dies saying mama, mama, mama. That's so sad, man.
These two young guys becoming
One of the
sort
worst
of martyrs.
death
Nemik says he
scenes.
wrote about Cassian the night before.
The role of mercenaries in the galactic struggle for freedom. My conclusion is simple. Weapons are tools. Those that use them are, by extension, functional assets that we must use to our best advantage. The Empire has no moral boundaries. Why should we not take hold of every chance we can?
And if you think about it, since this would be Nemik's final entry of his manifesto, for anyone who reads this text in the future, it will have a greater significance as his closing statement. That is, of course, unless Cassian were to continue to write in it like Frodo does to finish Bilbo's story, but I really hope he doesn't.
Never seen Lord of the Rings.
Karl Marx's message inspired the rebellion unabridged. Really, one could imagine this manifesto enlightening Mon Mothma's Senate mentee, Leia Organa, inspiring her to one day accept the self-interested Han Solo. Cassian tells Nemik,
You'll sleep when it's done.
yes, a grim foreshadowing of how Nemik will end this episode, finally able to rest. Gorn's supervisor, Corporal J-Hold Biaz, generalizes the Donnies to the Imperial engineer from Coruscant, Colonel Pettigar. He says that they've subjugated these pilgrims by overwhelming them with choices, setting up comfort units along their pilgrimage with drinks to stray them off their path. And while that may have worked for many of them, the true believers don't want his pelts. They just go along with this exchange to witness the Eye of Aldani from their sacred temple. This whole idea of trading pelts definitely mirrors the trade European colonizers would make with American indigenous tribes, pelts for land. But later we learn that this tribe burns the pelts, not trusting them. In the control room, the technician's screen shows the orbit of the planet as it moved into the crystalline belt that causes this shower. And it has the same design interface as the screens in A New Hope that shows the Death Star's orbit into position. Now, thanks to Venus, as J-Hold and Pettigar sip their cap together, notice how J-Hold's uniform looks like it's been tailored compared to Pettigar's and Gorn's. It's got a wider black collar and black extensions on the sleeves to match with his black gloves. Like Cyril Karn, this guy has custom tailored his suit, but in J-Hold's case to take it out some so that it will fit, as his wife Roboda suggested.
Perhaps you've expanded?
Gorn tells J-Hold,
I've brought in 30 sentries from Alkenzi. I'll have them close at hand to supervise. I've sent our best men to the perimeters for insurance.
Yeah, so Gorn sent away the sharpest guards from the vault to leave it more vulnerable. Skeen tells Cassian about Termin's past.
He was a stormtrooper. Should have been here when Cinta found out. They slaughtered our whole family.
Though, can we really trust Skeen? Especially since Termin seemed less experienced than Cassian when it came to which side to march on last episode. I'm just saying it's possible Skeen might have told Cassian this to create some future division in the ranks that he could exploit. As Vel and Cinta uncover this,
I think he was Stormtrooper.
The first crystal shoots overhead. Yeah, I love the sound design. This crystal makes a kind of wail or a song as it burns up in the sky, setting us up for thousands of these to join in a chorus. As they communicate with the rest of the team, they use the code names of Valley 1 and Echo 1, Echo also being the code name of the rebel base on Hoth and Empire. Pettigar fidgets with this nerdy scope.
Has it started? But the Darnies don't believe it ever ends. So, yes, sir, it has definitely started.
Gorn. As a guy who fell in love with the Donnie woman, he has an insight into their beliefs, and for them, the Eye of Aldani isn't a one-time occurrence that repeats every 3 years, it's a constant stream that's always part of their lives, which does align with Karl Marx's dialectical materialism, in which social revolutions are not random phenomena that come up every once in a while, they're really the cyclical result of a constant undercurrent of material oppression. Hey, I'm not telling you how to think.
Endless walks of war,
Marx for a hot take on
peace,
history.
and revolution.
The Donnies are more accurate too, because this isn't a meteor shower of random space particles crashing into the planet. It's a destined
bonus points know where I get that from. The endless walks of war, peace, and revolution.
Their planet is always on this orbit, therefore the Eye of Aldani never ends and it never begins. Vel and Cinta overhear some guards outside having locker room talk.
I had a good look at her. Believe me, patience was not the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I think this might be the first time human characters have been depicted urinating in live-action Star Wars. I love this. The Pilgrim Chieftain tells Gorn, yeah, I love the way this is worded. It's a greeting, but it also carries a backhanded subtext. Find some good within you. And I love how Gorn later uses this as a translation of the chieftain's threat to Bias.
Ooh.
He says, may the eye find the good in all of us.
Yeah, J-Hold ain't smart enough to see the backhandedness of this. Gorn orders the squad into position.
Squad, halt!
Yeah, Skeen totally bumps Taram in there.
Yeah.
They're not the tightest operation, but also remember, Skeen is looking for a chance to bump them each off. So the squad makes their move. They take the family hostage. There's a quick shot that shows Nemec shaking. Pedagar notices this and pulls the blaster on him. Pedagar demands to release the boy, but in response, Skeen shoves the rifle harder into that kid's head. It's a really quick shot, and they only show it for like half a second because, yeah, that's a pretty insane thing to show. But the fact that it's included at all is just another sign that Skeen is not the nicest guy on this crew.
Ruthless, man.
Backhands J-Hold, well deserved after J-Hold's earlier threat to show his son the back of his hand. This whole mission intercuts with the Donnies by their bonfire and their musical chanting, which is their way of welcoming the celestial event, but it also has the effect of raising the tension back in the base with this natural ticking clock. All the music that Nicholas Bertel composed for this episode is just so intense. I feel like all this was his version of Hans Zimmer's docking sequence music from Interstellar, so that by the end of it, you're just like,
good movie.
Yes, let's go! But the Donnie chant ends with
a lot of science in the movie, but very good movie.
They can better see the sky. The lights are being snuffed, paralleling the darkest minutes of the mission inside, and then minutes later, lights flood the sky in a shower to represent the return of hope. Back in the vault, the guards are playing cards, saying words like Hexpa, Hexa, Hoxla. The Hex prefix, I assume, connected to the cards being six-sided. Sabak uses six-sided cards, but those cards are longer. This might be a Sabak variant. Teraman tosses Skeen a DLT-19 blaster rifle. Fateful choice for him, because he later tells Skeen to cover him with this, and Skeen doesn't, despite this rifle actually allowing more rapid fire. Skeen only fires one shot to cover Teraman later.
Oh yeah, it's like a white LMG.
They won't be able to unlock the credits inside the vault because it requires a signal from Malkinzi, but Gorn is definitely able to blow the locks off the stacks. So this might have been something the authorities from Malkinzi told J-Hold to keep him and his men from trying to steal the credits. Yet still, the blown locks do alert Malkinzi that wrongdoing is afoot. It's kind of like saying, hey, those security cameras totally work, and kind of like psychologically programming your employees to ask for permission, not for forgiveness. I love how Skeen enters this vault, and you can just see the greed pouring from his eyes. Let's go! So when the Malkinzi call comes in, Cinta just shuts it off. Reminds me a lot of Hans, boring conversation anyway, move and A New Hope. And then we cut to the Malkinzi airbase, and I love this.
I love the shot. I love that. Are they getting to the TIE fighters and everything? That shot right here,
this might
gorgeous.
Be my favorite shot of the episode.
Yeah.
The practical set, the TIE fighters hanging from above, and a catwalk that leads to each. There's a Lambda-class shuttle parked in the hangar below them, and of course we hear the classic Star Wars klaxon alarm siren blaring. And with that night sky lit up from behind, we see a pilot climbing down to the cockpit. And I think this is so great because so many other Star Wars aerial battles just showed TIE fighters swarming in from out of nowhere.
We see how they load in.
So instead here, we start the battle with each of these Imperial pilots individually climbing to their cockpits, humanizing this enemy, and they do this in front of the same sky that the rest of the characters are seeing.
I like
giving
that.
us a sense of their proximity.
That's probably that was probably my favorite shot of the whole episode.
And throughout this sequence, we continue to intercut with these TIE pilots, including them turning on their targeting displays. Yes, this is the same sound effect used in Vader's cockpit in the trench run. Back in the vault, a shootout ensues. Kimsey shoots Gorn. Cassian shoots Kimsey. Skeen, again, intentionally fails to cover Terramin. Cassian launches a trawler, and those heavy credits injure and paralyze Nemec. I don't think there's ever been a better Marxist metaphor for the crushing weight of capital. From inside the control room, Ravoda and Lennart watch the trawler jet off toward the opening of the eye. And indeed, the sky does look like an eye. The streaming crystals looking like the iris of it. This eye representing the rebels' ability to see the path forward, but also a terrifying eye of the Empire that is now upon them. But on a spiritual level, it does represent a giant godly eye, an eye that judges all. I guess
it makes sense because the planet is blocking that part of the
so that Nemec can read off his
whatever they're going through.
Starpath unit that again is made out of a 70s Polaroid camera. I love it. This is the one that Nemec said could never be corrupted, and we hear more classic trench run sounds from the TIE cockpit. But the sound it makes when it gets locked on target gets stalled because their sensors are glitching from the celestial event. Nemec was right. His untethered navigator saves them here. And notice how his tech locks in.
Climb!
Yes, climb! Climb is the last word that K2SO will say to Cassian during the Battle of Scarif.
Climb!
Oh.
Nemec's able to give them just the right vector so that they're able to evade the shower, the crystals cracking the shielding on their trawler, but completely obliterating the 3 TIE fighters. We end with the scream of one of those TIE pilots. Cinta joins the pilgrims to watch the event from the ground.
Yeah, they left her behind.
Equally transfixed by the sky. Such a beautiful moment that humbles and unites
I don't know they're going to leave her behind.
Humanity and giving all of us hope. Now, this is not the end for Cinta. Trailer footage showed her back in that valley on Aldhani getting to a hidden speeder bike, then looking up to see a massive Star Destroyer looming over the planet. So yeah, the Empire will strike back. Skeen pushes to go to a doctor.
This kid is the reason that we are here. He is alive.
Sadly, Skeen only wants him to go to the doctor.
Yeah, I thought he was being nice, but he was just being for himself.
We meet Dr. Quadpaw, performed by Aiden Cook, a puppeteer and past Star Wars performer who played the Mon Calamari Katekin, Lieutenant Admiral Radis in Rogue One, as well as Benthic and Edrio Two Tubes, who will return on this series, maybe as soon as next episode. Now, Quadpaw has 4 arms, but I guess Vel still has to hold the IV drip bag, and it looks like those 4 arms were done practically, with a second actor sharing the costume, kind of like the Helping Hands improv game. His planet, by the way, looks so cool. It's a grassy field with a farm windmill in the orbit of a massive gas giant, but it looks like oxygenated and hidden by a kind of nebulous gas cloud. The traitor Skeen offers Cassian to split the 80 million.
Oh, I'm a rebel. It's just, me against everybody else.
Skeen even denies having a brother with a pepper orchard. He made all that up, which also means he concocted the story about his brother drowning himself with stones in his pockets. This makes us reassess every suspicious glance Skeen
he's fucking liar.
Like when he first approached camp in episode 4, Skeen must have been thinking, great, someone else I gotta kill off or bargain to split it with. Also, Skeen going through his stuff, Skeen grabbing the Kyber crystal from around his neck. And when Cassian admitted to them that he was doing this for payment, that must have made Skeen the most uncomfortable because he was still keeping a very similar secret for himself. Skeen says there's a moon 8 parsecs away, but Cassian shoots him dead.
Love that. Ruthless.
Cassian goes inside to see Nemec did not make it.
3 body counts so far.
This is his inner set of hands first, followed by his second set. But Cassian's just taking the cut he was promised, leaving the rest and the freighter to Vel. And as a token of goodwill, he gives her Luthen's Kyber crystal to return to him. Vel, in exchange, gives Cassian Nemec's manifesto, which Nemec insisted Cassian get. So Nemec must have concluded that the only way that his spark of hope would mean anything would be if his message could convert to the most skeptical non-believer. And that now is Cassian. Back on Coruscant, Major Partagas tells the ISB,
I want every star sector and planetary emergency retaliation plan in the building ready for presentation by midnight.
Impressive how calm and unrattled he seems. Like he definitely is in crisis mode, but it's also like he expected such a possibility to happen.
They probably had contingency plans.
Imperial Senate about aid to the Gormans. That's the race that she mentioned in episode 4, setting up the Gorman massacre that will lead her to leave the Senate. We see that in Rebels. Notice how the Senate chamber is largely empty. Most pods are vacant, and the occupied ones only have 2 seats filled in, from the senior senator and the junior senator from that planet. All the seats behind those 2 are always empty, meaning the Empire has forbidden any extra staff or guests to join them. An Imperial crest marks each pod, and in the central chair is seated one individual seen only at a distance, but they are a pale figure with what looks like a bald head. I assume this is Sly Moore, the Umbaran aide to the Emperor seen in the prequels, who's actually mentioned as one of the dinner guests back in episode 4. The episode ends
no idea who these
in
people are.
shop.
It's a Devon blue.
There's an inscription on that one, in the language no one remembers.
Right here reminds me of a Triceratops.
It's liberating. You decide what it says. Your own secret language.
Deverin is a jungle planet that appeared a few times in Clone Wars. Of course, Luthen loves this idea of a secret language, as this guy often uses these artifacts to speak in his code. These artifacts, by the way, I had broken down plenty of other videos, from Plo Koon's mask to the Starkiller armor, the Lothal tablets, a Gungan shield, some Jedi and Sith holocrons, and then some random Indiana Jones Easter eggs, like the Sankara stones from Temple of Doom, and Indy's golden idol and boots frozen in carbonite. Our final shot shows Luthen allowing himself, finally, his first genuine smile on this series. It's definitely not the false one that he puts on for show, but just true relief and joy from Stellan Skarsgård, because the rebels just scored their first major win, something so big that the ISB, the Senate, and the media cannot
have to respond to.
You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at
will do.
Rockstar. Subscribe.
Another good breakdown from Mr. Eric Voss. I learned a lot in that one. Like I said, I'm new to Star Wars, so a lot of stuff goes over my head, but I'm glad there's guys like New Rockstars and Eric Voss to break it down for us newbies in the Star Wars. But like I said, I'm enjoying Andor. It feels like every 3 episodes is something big, so I think it's gonna be a lull after this one next episode, and then another big action episode. So it's 10 episodes, 9, so we'll probably have one more little arc, and then that'll be it. But yeah, you guys know what you think about this. Are you watching Andor? Are you liking it? Till next time, guys, I'll see you when I see you. Peace.